Hi guys, today we have finally gotten around to reviewing my Lotus Elise S Cup. We've had a few months with it to get to grips, and let's find out if it's still all about simplify and add lightness. Let's head to it. The Lotus Elise S3 S, also known as the 220 Cup. That means it has 217, close to 220 brake horsepower, and it weighs just 950 kilograms, giving us a 0 to 60 time of 4.2 seconds. But that isn't what Lotus is all about. Now, we all know they are quick, and we love that straight line speed, especially with that supercharger noise. But Lotus isn't just about that, they're about handling, which is why Colin Chapman goes about saying simplify and then add lightness. The Elise is just that, weighing just 700 kilograms back in the Gen 1. We have now upped it, but the power is up to 12 with that 2ZR Toyota 1.8 litre inline-4 engine. It sounds absolutely fantastic, and that supercharger whine is second to none. About that, what are they actually like to drive? In comparison to the standard 220, you know it's a big difference. We've got that huge cup aero on the front and back, giving us 120 kilograms of downforce. Actually aero that works. Now with that, it looks fantastic. It adds a really aggressive look to the car, and it really signifies it from standard 220 to the Cup. As well as that, we've got a lot of inspiration from the Cup R, and that's where it all really stems from. We've got the single exhaust in the back as well as that Club Aero. The last Lotus we had on the channel was my old Club Racer that had the Club Aero on as an additional extra, but was just a standard Club Racer. Now the Cup 220 actually shares the suspension from the Club Racer, so all that bumpiness and nice firm ride, we get that in this too. It does mean that if you go over a pothole, you are going to know about it. However, on the track, you wouldn't want anything else. Version of that Cup R, and a lot of people do kind of state that it's got a hard top roof, so doesn't that make it an Exige? Now we get where they're coming from. The Elises have notoriously all been soft tops, and you can get a soft top option for this as well, so you can have the best of both worlds. However, I absolutely love the hard top. I'm not a huge soft top fan. You feel a lot more snug in the cabin. As well as that, this is far different from the Exige. Anyone that's driven both knows they handle and just have their own unique quirks are completely different. And the Elise is just something really special. It's something like no other. Whereas the Exige on the roads can be quite harsh and a little bit intimidating. The Elise is just a pussycat on the roads and on the track, whereas the Exige just comes into its own on the track. And if you want to see a difference between the Elise and Exige, pop over to an older video where we have both as a comparison. But back to the S Cup, the Elise wants to play. It eggs you on through those corners, and even on the road you can get a really smooth entry into the corner, pick up that mid-speed, it doesn't want to kick you out, and you can really power out comfortably out of those corners. Because this is the pre-facelift model, before they brought in the Cup 250s, we have the standard gearbox rather than the open gated shifter. One criticism with this car is the gearbox is nowhere near as good as that open gated one, purely because it feels very loose and a little bit stringy. However, compared to some normal cars, the gearbox does still feel fantastic, only if you've had that comparison. But I mean, you can pop it down, red match down you go, and it's great. Now the Elise is rear wheel drive mid-engine, so the engine is sitting just here. But because that weight is actually more towards the rear, it is very stable. However, it really doesn't like it if you lift off mid-corner. So let's say you're starting to put the power on and you lift, the back end is going to snap at you. And rather than it being a gradual snap, because it is a shorter wheelbase, it is a little bit back and forth. But with the right set of tyres and the right setup on them, they will absolutely dominate anything on track, and they surprise a lot of things because of how well they can corner. They have the best of everything. They've got a good straight line speed, but those corners is where it catches up to everything. Sadly, I've only got Toyota TR1s on this, and when I took it to Cadwell for a bit of a blast, they overheated in 3 laps. On the club racer, when we took it to Brighton, we had some intermediates, which was a little bit better. But to get the full experience, we fully recommend some semi-slicks at least. It just means you're going to get those tyres heated up nicely. They're going to be really sticky and grip into those corners without overheating after 3 laps. Competitors to the Elise come far and wide. You can argue that hot hatches or even down to K-trims and Atoms. Because there is such a wide variety, the Elise really sits in its own unique bracket because it's still a usable road car where you have your roof, unlike the K-trims and the Atom, but it also is an amazing track car and really special compared to the hot hatches. Now, as we found out before, daily in one can be a little bit difficult just because of the lack of space, how low the front splitter is, and also the fact that driving at night is a little bit sketchy. However, if you really want to grin your teeth just in those awkward bits, as soon as you get to a nice B road, you're going to forget all of that, and it makes it a very difficult decision because you want to keep driving this car. However, those rainy, dark nights on the motorway are just no fun. That is when you wish you had your heated seats and a nice comfy leather chair. The prices really range at the moment. Since Lotus stopped production of the Elise, the prices have settled quite nice and high. This one in particular, the cups can go anywhere up to 39,000 40,000 from a dealer. They are really, really rare. This one in particular, in this colour red, has only 1 of 25 ever made, meaning it is something special. You don't see many on the roads. A lot of Cup 250s due to the final editions, but the actual Cup 220s come far and few between. And in terms of comfort, I mean, everyone looks at this and goes, oh, that's a bit of a backbreaker. And I mean, the suspension isn't wrong. However, these seats, we get some nice upgraded seats from the Cup, and they're really comfortable. I much prefer bucket seats, and the way these sit, they hug your posture, so you're not aching your back having to sit up on a straight chair like in a normal car. And I mean, the wheels right in front of you, pedals are nice and easy to get to. I absolutely love the fact that the chassis is right next to you because it makes a perfect armrest. What more could you want? And if you want to see an actual comparison of a Lotus and a K-trim, check out this video from the other week where we had the K-trim 170R and we compared it against the Club Racer, just to see actually which one do we prefer. It was actually really interesting, so I'm not going to give you any spoilers. Because the pedals are so small, I highly recommend that you wear thin-soled shoes. You get a proper pedal feel that way, and also you're not going to accidentally catch the brake and the throttle. If you're a little bit taller, I mean, I'm 5'7", I fit in nice and comfortably with quite a bit of headroom, even with a helmet. So if you're on the taller side, maybe look at the soft top because you'd be able to roll open the roof to get in and out. But I mean, you make do. There are opportunities to drop the seat. There's all sorts of modifications out there just to help you get more comfortable. So look at your options for sure. Anyone who watches the channel or follows me on Instagram knows I am a huge Lotus fan. I will always sing their praises because they just make you smile when you drive. You can get in one, have a nice blast on the road, and you come away grinning, and it's cheered you up 100%. And that's what I love. They look so happy from the outside that it makes you happy too. You always look back at your car as you walk away, but also when you're driving, you're here with a massive grin on your face because what more could you want? Now onto economy, so the slightly boring side. Tax on these is £250, which I don't think is actually that terrible when if you look at new cars now, you're paying nearly £500 as standard. Fuel-wise, you have about a 40-something litre tank, don't hold me to that, but I know with current fuel prices it costs about £50 to fill up with V-Power. Now that can last me anywhere from 200 to 250 miles, which for a performance car is actually really, really good. And that's because they're so light. And even on the track day the other day, putting it everywhere, we only used 2 bars in an evening. Granted, we can only do 3 laps at a time, but I'm still going to take that as a win. The nicest thing as well with this Elise is there's so many modification options. You've got different suspension from nitrons to Olens. You've got different exhausts like tubular. This one is stock, which is actually quite nice because my old one had a full tubular system and it was very loud. You can get Comatec engine upgrades, absolutely all sorts out there, which is really nice because you can make it really unique to yourself. And for what's already out the factory, an awesome track car, when you start modifying it specifically for the track as well, it is just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Some of these race Lotuses are just insane. The view out your back mirror is a little bit compromised because you've got that massive wing in the way. But to be honest, I'm not complaining. If you drive a van, you don't have a rear view mirror, so I'm quite happy looking at that spoiler every time. For me, the Elise is a car you can really build your confidence of driving up, because you can approach a corner, you'll brake like you normally do, and you'll realise how easy it is. And next time you'll brake a little bit less and a little bit less until you learn what the car can do. It's not necessarily going to massively snap out at you. It'll just let you know if it's starting to get a little bit unsettled. Granted, even in some setups they'll understeer, which is so bizarre. But if my mum can drive one quite happily, so can you. So we have my mum driving the Lotus behind us, as you can kind of see through the gap there. So there we have it, guys. Finally got around to my Lotus S-Cut review, and yes, as you can tell, I absolutely adore this car. Lotus will always be fond in my heart, and this one in particular is a real sweet spot. You can't say no to that aero. So for now, guys, there we have it. To make my journey your journey, like, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.